Okay, let's jump right in. Today, we are diving into this explainer mapping out the absolutely fascinating feline family tree. It's a complete journey that's going to transport us from half-ton ancient beasts roaming the prehistoric world, literally all the way down to the purring companions currently sleeping on our sofas. There is just an incredible biological story here, and you know what? It's all connected. Here is our taxonomic map for today. We'll cover 1. Extinct feline ancestors, 2. The Panthera branch, 3. The feline branch, 4. From wild to domestic, 5. Popular domestic cat breeds, and finally 6. Genetics of everyday cats. Section 1. Extinct feline ancestors. If we rewind the clock 30 million years, we meet Pro-Ilurus. Looking honestly a bit more like a mongoose, this tree-dwelling hunter is the granddaddy of all modern kitties. Now, fast forward to about 12,000 years ago, and the feline family had scaled up massively. We're talking about the Smilodon populator, a saber-toothed tiger weighing a staggering half a ton. And right around the exact same era, we had the American cheetah. Now, interestingly, it actually wasn't closely related to the modern cheetah, but it was an absolute speedster, spending its days hunting pronghorns right up until it died out shortly after humans arrived in the Americas. 11. 11 inches. That is the staggering length of the canine teeth on a Smilodon populator. Just to put that into perspective for you, they used those massive dagger-like teeth to take down enormous prey. We're talking bison and giant ground sloths, and they likely finished the job with just one incredibly powerful bite to the throat. Just wow. Section 2. The Panthera branch. Let's settle a classic mix-up right now. Jaguars versus leopards. First off, their geography is completely separated. Jaguars live exclusively in the Americas, while leopards roam across Africa and Asia. But the real tell is their coats. Jaguars have these large fur patterns known as rosettes, and right in the middle, there's a distinct central spot. Leopard rosettes, on the other hand, well, they're smaller and completely empty in the center. Now, here is something mind-blowing. Felines are actually genetically similar enough to interbreed much more easily than other mammal families. Take the liger, for instance. That's the offspring of a male lion and a female tiger. These hybrids, which pretty much only happen in captivity, are absolutely enormous. They literally grow to be as big as those ancient half-ton Smilodons we just talked about. But why? Well, it turns out the specific genes that normally limit growth in lions actually come from the females. So when a male lion mates with a female tiger, those growth-limiting genes are entirely absent, allowing the liger to just keep growing. Section 3. The feline branch. Let's consider a standout member of this branch, the cheetah. They are the undeniable fastest land animal in the world, and every single part of their biology is engineered for pure speed. They have this highly flexible spine that acts just like a coiled spring propelling them forward. Combine that with a small aerodynamic head to cut through the air, enlarged lungs to process massive amounts of oxygen, and a thick tail that acts exactly like a rudder on a boat, letting them make incredibly sharp, high-speed turns. And you can actually see echoes of this hyper-focused, coiled spring hunting instinct when your own house cat locks onto a laser pointer in the living room. But hey, speed isn't the only way to be an effective hunter. 60. That is the average amount of roe deer a single Eurasian lynx takes down every single year. These robust cats, which are super easy to recognize by their tiny bobtails and those very cool horseshoe mustache facial ruffs, are absolute hunting machines in their woodland territories. And then we have one of the most unique adaptations in the wild feline world. You just have to appreciate this humorous biological quirk of the Pallas's cat. Native to the freezing, high-altitude plateaus of Mongolia and Tibet, its low ears and dense gray fur basically make it look like a grumpy Smurf. But here's the best part. To survive the brutal snow, it literally warms its little toes by wrapping its thick, fat-filled tail underneath its paws, using its own body as a built-in heating pad. How great is that? Section 4. From wild to domestic. So how did these wild predators end up in our laps? Unlike dogs, which we actively trained and bred for very specific tasks, cats essentially domesticated themselves. It's true. Around 10,000 years ago, humans invented agriculture. Step 2, all that stored grain inevitably attracted massive populations of rodents. And step 3, wild cats, the direct ancestors of our pets, simply moved in to take advantage of the all-you-can-eat mouse buffet. Over millennia, they gradually habituated to human presence, eventually tweaking their diets to digest some of our plant-based scraps, and slowly became the less skittish companions we know and love today.
Section 5. Popular domestic cat breeds.
Through selective breeding, we've brought out some truly unique quirks. Take the Maine Coon. It's the longest domestic cat on record, and they are famously prone to having extra toes, a genetic trait called polydactylism. Or the Scottish Fold, famously beloved by Taylor Swift, their cute folded ears are actually due to an abnormal cartilage condition that sadly means they almost all develop arthritis. We also have the chunky, contented-looking British Shorthair, which actually served as the inspiration for the Cheshire Cat and Alice in Wonderland. Then there's the Siamese cat, whose distinct coloring is just wild. They are essentially temperature-controlled albinos, where the warmer parts of their bodies stay white while the cooler extremities become pigmented. And finally, the flat-faced Persian, which was originally used as Mr. Bigglesworth in the movie Austin Powers, before being famously swapped out for a naturally hairless Sphinx cat when the character was cryogenically frozen. Selective breeding also amplifies beautiful genetic mutations like heterochromia, which is a condition resulting in two entirely different colored eyes. While it can happen in various animals, it occurs much more frequently in the Turkish Angora, a gorgeous cat with a face that's a bit less flat than a Persian's, giving them an incredibly striking mismatched gaze. Section 6. Genetics of everyday cats.
But what about the rest of them? Meet the Moggies. This is the highly affectionate, widely used British term for everyday mixed-breed cats, your standard domestic short or long hairs. They are essentially the feline equivalent of mutts. And because they aren't selectively bred for specific appearances, these kitties come in a wildly unselected, entirely natural variety of beautiful patterns and colors.
Now check out this overwhelming dominance. 80% of domestic cats are tabbies. A tabby is simply any mixed breed with a striped pattern on its coat. This massive percentage proves just how incredibly resilient those ancient, stripy camouflage genes from their wild ancestors truly are. I mean, they have survived thousands of years of domestication completely intact.
And for the remaining 20%, we just have to point out this fascinating genetic rule. It dictates that practically every colorful calico and tortoiseshell cat you will ever meet is a female. Why? Well, because the specific genetic code that controls those blended orange and black patterns is linked exclusively to the X chromosome. It's a wonderful, everyday example of how directly genetics dictate the world around us.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. We've traced an unbelievable lineage today, all the way from 30-million-year-old tree dwellers like Proilurus, through the terrifying half-ton saber-tooths, straight down to the bicolored tuxedo cats that inspired Broadway musicals. The feline family tree has proven to be incredibly resilient and remarkably adaptable. So as cats continue to share our living spaces and adapt to our rapidly changing modern world, what incredible physical and behavioral traits will natural selection design for the feline of the future? Keep that in mind the next time your cat curls up next to you. Thanks so much for learning with us today.